Welcome to the Bytes podcast, and we have another guest today. A guy that I've known for, we were talking about this before, I think probably about a year, or a bit over a year.
No, it's longer than that, my friend. It's longer than that.
About 18 months, maybe?
Yeah, let's think. Probably 2 years.
We met down a park, I remember, and you had an apple in your hand at the time.
Sounds like it was accidental, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Darrel Griffin.
'Tis I.
Lovely to see you again. It's been a little while.
And you, my friend. Thank you for inviting me to come and have a little chat.
I know, and showing off my new equipment. It's so exciting just now. This is the second episode now with our new microphones, headphones. This is like a proper studio. This is Joe Rogan stuff here.
You have been geeking out, Michael.
It is. You get completely geeked out by this stuff. It's really good. It's really good. And you've done a few podcasts yourself.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of being on a few, most latterly with the guys at Lush. And
Lush, yes.
That was a lot of fun.
Excellent. I mean, obviously the podcast scene really over the last probably year or so has exploded. And it's amazing seeing all the different ones pop up. I mean, you look at the iTunes library now and it's like, there must be literally thousands and thousands, probably just thousands Australian podcasts alone, let alone sort of ones from the US and whatever.
Yeah. I think it's something that will come up as we're chatting. I mean, it's opportunity. Podcasting isn't an end in itself. It's an opportunity to
start conversations, to connect, to learn. I mean, it really is. It's to create content for yourself, to create content for maybe a guest that's on. It's multifaceted and
it's I think probably myself, I think that video is still probably the pinnacle.
Yes, we are recording on my iPhone just now, so pseudo video is ensuing.
You are the pinnacle.
Yes, exactly.
Though obviously the convenience of being able to listen in the car and on your Walkman.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'd say for the last 18 months, probably not 18 months, 2 years to 3 years, I've been very strict on myself in regards to car and walks, like walking the dog, whatever it's podcast or audiobook audio. Because I mean, if you add up all these hours and the amount of learning learning experience, laughs you can have just listening to this sort of stuff, it's
but you've still got, it's a little bit like going into a social media news feed. You've got to kiss a lot of frogs.
Definitely. Do you have a go-to podcast that you listen to? Is there, say, your top three? Do you have? Okay, let's just go one. Let's go one. Nice and easy.
I've got a couple. Certainly, my colleague and friend Mark Williams in the UK, the LinkedIn Formed podcast is very good.
Yep.
Trevor Young,
okay.
Over in Melbourne. Now he's a PR warrior.
Oh wow, I like the name.
And I'm not sure if he's doing I'm sure he probably is doing a consistent, regular podcast. I can't say that I listen to him every week, but his content is always excellent. Trevor,
brilliant,
good man. And the Lush podcast, I think, is always great value with James and Sarah and Nick.
How long have these guys been doing it?
Well, they're media pros, aren't they?
They've been around a little while.
Yeah, so it's probably a shoe-in for them. But I mean, again, it's all about the quality. It's about the content that comes out the end of it.
And that's why I have guests like yourself on, Darrel.
Absolutely, because I'm all about the quality.
Well,
me,
Darrel.
Aye.
Give us a little bit of a background on who you are.
Background, Darrel, 51 years old, 2 young children, one not quite as young wife, but certainly younger than me. Heidi, my wife, is certainly the business brains behind what we do.
Wow,
She's, I'm the ideas and people person. So I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her. And if I'm absolutely honest, there have been times, how long have I been doing the LinkedIn stuff? 4 years now, 4 and a bit years.
Okay.
There have been times on that journey where I would have thrown in the towel if it wasn't for her. So,
man, it's about the support, isn't it? That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else about me? I'm a committed Christian. I am very interested in business in terms of how it can help people help people.
Yes. Yeah.
So onto that subject, I think probably this is where I fit best. I can help professional people to identify the needs that they can help address.
Yeah, and specifically, you have mentioned a couple of times LinkedIn, obviously. What was your first contact with LinkedIn? Can you remember back?
Yeah, I mean, I was on it. Okay, there's a brief story. I was on it in the UK, but...
And you came here in 2012, am I right?
2012, yeah. Though what I took up, this is, if you've not moved to the other side of the world in your life, this is something you may not appreciate. But I was a company director in the UK. I'd had 2 decades plus of a business network built.
Yep.
And you forget, you move to another country where you're a complete stranger and you know nobody at all, and you think, oh, okay, I have no network.
Yep.
I have to start from absolute zero. And that is a situation I found myself in 2012. I was an account manager for a sign manufacturing company in Midland. Hello, Mark and Josie. And I struggled.
Yep.
I knew nobody. Account management is, sales can be hard work, and if you know nobody, then it makes it doubly
even harder. Yeah.
So I spoke to them and said, look, I recognise the markets you're seeking to reach, and most of those markets have a presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I would like to propose that I use LinkedIn to seek to build relationships with these people and create opportunities for us to win their business. So that's essentially what I did, and they gave me a target for the year, as all salespeople get. Yeah. And within 4 months, I'd exceeded it almost entirely through LinkedIn. And essentially what I understood really from the get-go was that this isn't about me, this is about people, about the needs that they have in their business.
Yep.
So it wasn't a matter of getting on there and being the digital version of the kind of slick salesperson, because I am not that person. I can't sell ice to the Eskimos. If Eskimos need ice, then I would help to facilitate that. But no, I understood that this was a different game.
Yeah. And I mean, it was very different back then, LinkedIn. I mean, over the last, maybe 2 years, there's been a massive shift in...
Yeah, but fundamentally, Michael, it's all about the mindset.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I think business is all about the mindset and how we... So essentially, I understood from a certainly, I think salespeople understand this well, that if you can become known, liked, and trusted, you win.
Yeah, in all facets of life. That's it. Yeah,
exactly.
Provide value and
that's exactly
listen
that.
And do the right thing.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people will applaud you for saying that, and not so many people are prepared to do the hard work that is required to establish those foundations.
Yeah.
So, but
I think foundations is the key word there, isn't it? Is building, and you started with zero foundation and built it.
And that's perhaps that was perhaps the crucible that was required for me to do that. But I found that by reaching out with value. Now, first thing I did understand, I know we're going to talk about LinkedIn a little bit, but first of all, what I did understand is that it wasn't, I looked at all of the competitors of this company that I was working for. And I realized that every single one of them, in terms of the way they approached LinkedIn, their mindset was this is a resume platform.
Definitely, yeah.
You know? And I thought, well, hang on a minute, that's not very useful. If I'm a potential customer of that individual there, that sales rep, then, and all they're talking about is, you know, how they hit the ball out of the park every month.
How good I am. Me,
exactly. You know, well, that's not very helpful to me as a potential customer. I want to know how you can help me. I don't need to know that you are very good at making me buy your stuff. That's not. Yeah. So I understood straight away that this is about, if I could position myself as somebody that is here to help.
Yep.
And that's the way I played the new kid in town card, you know. Hey, I've just arrived from the UK. I've got 20 years signage experience. I would be delighted to help you on any projects. I just played it very low.
But you were allowing people to help. You're allowing people to reach out and feel like they were helping you as well, which is a really...
That's it.
And it's not... I was going to say tactics are completely the wrong word, but it's
not.
genuine connection.
It is genuine, but there is a business.
Of course. And this is where social media, everybody talks about content and this and that and value. When it comes down to it, we are using it as a business platform.
Absolutely that. Absolutely that.
Let's not lie about that sort of fact of the matter.
No, and the reality is, look, you know, you can achieve your business outcomes that you wish to achieve with social media, but you've got to understand how to play the game.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, we've got a mutual respect in Gary Vaynerchuk. We follow his content. No, but that was one of the first things we chatted about actually when we
have a mutual respect. But I don't think I'm quite in love with him as you are, my friend.
I know. I do have a bit of a crush. But one of the things he talks about, and I've got it on my phone actually as a screensaver, is the principle of 51-49.
Yeah.
Just giving more than you're taking at all times.
Yeah.
And it will always work out right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, most of the times it will work out right. Or the karma side of it will.
Yeah.
So I keep that really close to my heart anyway when I'm thinking about any interactions with people.
So the long story short is that I had huge success with LinkedIn and creating, I mean, I've got some great stories, which, you know, for another time, but and I understood within, and realistically it probably took me a year to really get my head around the whole mindset thing, that, you know, this is for some reason. One day I remember I had an aha moment where I thought, I get it, I absolutely get it, and I get it. I'm one of the 5% that get it, you know. And I think it's still like that. There's a lot of people banging their drums.
Lots of noise just now.
Lots of noise, but
do you think that'll change? I mean, similar to, LinkedIn to me anyway, the kind of the interface, everything, the way it's changed over the last couple of years has become more of a content platform, obviously. Introduction video, and, you know, they're changing things all the time, which is really good from a content point of view, but it's getting to that stage where Facebook got to, where the noise becomes too loud, and they're going to have to do something about that because people won't use the platform. So in about 12 months, do you see a kind of different LinkedIn?
Probably not.
Okay.
I have no idea. People say to me, you know, why do you do what you do? And, you know, in terms of LinkedIn training, I say, well, okay, you know, if you wanted to buy a nice car, you would go somewhere like Mercedes, for example. But if you wanted to learn to drive, you wouldn't go to Mercedes to learn to drive. It's just, you know, you buy the car from Mercedes, you learn to drive from somebody who's an experienced car driver, you know. So what am I saying by that is that kind of with the greatest respect to LinkedIn, I don't think they really understand how the tool works best. I think they created it very cleverly. And if we look at what LinkedIn calls itself, the world's largest professional network, there is a clue in that as to where LinkedIn works best. And so bringing all that together. And there's lots of threads I'm bringing together here. But essentially, one of your questions you asked me when you emailed me about prior to this podcast, what is digital marketing? I wanted to just touch on what is digital marketing, because it's all these threads are tied together. Digital marketing is a pipe. Okay, if we just like a plumber's pipe, Now, at one end is a need.
It's a toilet.
Well, let's think about let's use that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that at one end is a potential customer with a need, and at the other end is you with the talent. Now, what are you going to shove down that pipe? To meet that need? Now, a lot of people are shoving down excrement and everything in between. But actually, what you really want to do is to pump pure, refreshing water down that pipe to refresh, this person at this end, with the view that they will choose you. You will be top of mind. You will be, the person they would choose to speak to in this regard. And I think this is the challenge. We just see digital marketing or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever one you want to choose, as an opportunity to, people have got to hear me, What we don't think of at this end is that we don't think of the person at the other end.
Yeah.
We just think about what's coming out of our mouth and the exercise of actually doing that, rather than thinking of the impact on the person at the other end.
Oh, completely. There's a real lack of empathy when it comes to what people are chucking out, and this is where the noise comes in, and this is where it's kind of muffling the good stuff, a lot of the time. So,
which is why we can't disconnect digital marketing from business itself, because fundamentally, if I don't understand the Seth Godin, don't find customers for your products, find products for your customers. It starts with the customer or potential customer, and to begin with, if I'm not embarking on a business that there is a need for, or if I'm not respecting the people that are going to be my customer, I'm just trying to sell rather than serve. That's where problems start. So it starts with the business model,
of course,
actually, and what I communicate then. So I've always thought, okay, when I'm at this end, seeking to communicate through the digital marketing pipe something to a potential customer or market at the other end, what am I seeking to do? Is what I'm passing down that pipe waste product, or is this something that is going to be of value to them?
I've got an amazing example of this. I've LinkedIn. I connected with a guy who I've known from past networking experiences fairly recently, and he puts out content probably once or twice a day, and it is literally his name, phone number, and web address in the conversation every time. There's no connection at all to who he's even trying to connect with. I find it, and he puts up a little image of a funny kind of image, and that is it. Like, there's no conversation, absolutely none. But I think, so I don't,
But that's an ignorance of the way that we buy, and that's another big subject. People do not just buy things. We become aware of a need or a want. We search for information around that subject matter. We evaluate the alternatives available to us, and then we make a purchasing decision. So the problem is most people are trying to sell to the purchasing decision and not helping people when, help them to realize they have a need. And so that's all about positioning, and then providing content. And I mean, it starts with the positioning, and I talk about 3 Ps, and that positioning, you've got to position yourself right so people can know how you can help them. That's fundamental. But then you've got to be able to promote yourself, and it isn't promoting yourself, you're actually sharing value, adding value, so that you're promoting yourself indirectly. So there's a huge subject.
So one of the things in my business do and tell clients to do is obviously build out their target audience and who their perfect client is. Who's that person you want to deal with on a daily basis?
Yeah.
That is you're gonna be able to give complete value to, and vice versa. And talk to them.
Yeah.
Like talk to them. Like put a name, an age, a postcode, interests to that person, and start the conversation. Because I think too many people try and speak to the whole market. They don't even understand that there is a small segment that you need to be targeting. Yeah. And everybody else will join that conversation in. But you need that sort of dedication to speak directly to that perfect client, which I think a lot of people, when I speak to businesses, it's amazing how many people don't even know who that is. Yeah. Have no idea.
Yeah, your customer avatar is, to give it this fancy language, that's really true. I mean, when I'm with the clients that I work with to help them with their positioning, this is a subject that we have to address. I can't just put you out there. We're seeking to put you before a particular sector of the market, and this comes back to the whole, what am I trying to build? Particularly around a network. I mean, if you approach LinkedIn as if we understand LinkedIn correctly as a digital networking opportunity, so it's digital for networking essentially, then I don't need to be connected to the world. Yep. I believe that a network of 150 people, if they know you, like you, and trust you, is enough for you to succeed in business.
But I must have 10,000. I must have 100,000 people to speak to, Darrel.
It's because my ego requires it, not because my business requires it. It's a bizarre thing. But, that's all about mindset again.
Mindset. I like it. Let's get a little bit practical then. What is it that you find, or say one element that most people on LinkedIn, say that 95% or 90%, are doing wrong, and what should they be doing? Is there one element that you see constantly within, be it profiles, content, that a little part of you breaks every time you see it?
Let's talk the big three. Most people don't understand how to position themselves. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So I think if you're going to use a tool like LinkedIn effectively, you've got to understand that your own personal profile is like your website homepage, essentially.
Definitely, yeah.
So I should be able to come to your LinkedIn profile and without any further conversation with you, be able to glean all the value that I need for my business from that profile. Okay. I should be able to click on things, download things. I should be able to perhaps watch a little video. I should be able to understand exactly how your business can help my business from that encounter.
Yeah, and that is obviously the first encounter, isn't it? The profile view is...
This is the challenge. As I say in my workshops, is you may never get a second chance to make a digital first impression. You may not, And
photographs... Your profile image is actually one of the first things. That's that human-to-human connection straight away. You're looking in the eyes of somebody there, and there are some absolute horrendous ones out there on LinkedIn.
There are, and I've used examples of I've just put up profiles of people that I don't know, and have said to people in workshops, what perception about this person does their headshot give you? And, as far as, things like anger and, how do you expect to attract people to your business if you're giving a perception of anger to people?
Yeah. Or a perception of not caring, being down the beach with sunglasses on and having a cocktail or whatever. So, unless you are in the business of, I don't know, you're a bartender on a beach in Hawaii. Yeah. But, it's amazing. That's one of the funniest things I see when... People are getting better at it, though. I think people are slowly getting better at it.
I think you're probably right. I guess we'll put that to one side. Secondly, the content.
Yep.
Most of it, let's be fair. If I'm going to be truly, the nice thing about working for yourself is you can be brutally honest.
People need to be brutally honest, I think.
You can scroll. I mean, I'm somebody that likes to engage with my network. As you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And sometimes I can scroll and scroll and scroll. I think, is there anything of value here that I can engage with?
Yeah.
And that's, I'm trying not to be harsh. Some people are producing some good content and it is getting better. But by and large, people still have the mindset that social media platforms are digital billboards.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're shoving excrement down the pipe.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about before, though, with Facebook has really changed the way they show content. I mean, they are now focused completely on your experience when you're using their platform. And I suspect LinkedIn at some stage.
Well, I think it already is, Michael, to be fair. I think LinkedIn, in my experience, in my experimentation, the level of engagement and level of exposure of your content is in direct, and this is my third point actually, is in proportion to the amount of effort you put into the platform. There's a kind of a reciprocation there. So what I mean by that is if I just go on LinkedIn and post my stuff and have no other involvement in it, then I shouldn't expect to get a great deal of exposure. People say to me, how can I get more likes and comments and shares? Well, so do it more yourself,
Oh, you mean we actually have to go in and start a conversation and add value to a conversation, or even just like or say happy birthday or say congratulations, whatever it is.
This is and this is why collecting connections is pointless, because your feed will fill with strangers' content which you won't feel any emotional connection to because you don't know these people. The great thing about networking, whether it's digitally or not digitally, is it does foster a level of relationship. It may be a very small degree, but enough to know that you're comfortable to engage with their content, and vice versa. I mean, if you go to the effort to consistently engage with other people's content. Kate Lister in the UK, in Grimsby, she's a florist, right? She has huge success on LinkedIn purely based on the fact that she engages with people. Yep. And she says for every one piece of content she'll share, she'll engage with 10 pieces of other people's content, because through engaging with other people's content, if you use questions is the clever tactic, if you want to use that word. If you use a question, if you ask a question on somebody's post in the comments, they're 99 times out of 100 going to reply to that question. There is the seeds of a conversation. Once the conversation has matured, you've built some rapport.
Yep.
And once rapport over a season is matured, there is trust and there's an opportunity there to refer one another to your it all starts with a conversation. And the problem is most people think that it all starts with content. And content is important, but only as important as the conversations that you have with people. This is a human-to-human game, And this I think is a challenge for business as we go forward. Is that it's becoming more human, not less human.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I don't think business, by and large, want it to. There's a safety in the gap. If my customer is over here and I'm on the other side of a wall, then there's safety there. I can I feel okay about these less than, I won't use the word less than ethical. I think less than human means to try and get their money.
Yep.
That may be a little bit harsh, but essentially, if I understand business as I think it should be, then it's about meeting a human need in somebody else, and therefore it is my task as the vendor, if you like, to remove the barriers, not put them up. So for me, I'll say to people, look, if you want to reach, you're an accountant here, and you want to reach more micro businesses, for example, because 59% of micro businesses outsource accountancy. Well, there is a market there. There's a massive market. Hundreds of thousands of Australians are micro businesses. If 59% of them outsource their accountancy, then position yourself as, what do you want to do? Just be another blend in with the beige accountancy thing, just Magnolia, No, there's a market there. If you're savvy enough, you position yourself for that market, you'll create content for that market, and you'll engage with these individuals to make yourself, you're not just a number cruncher, you are actually a human being. You just got to, I think this is why I say digital marketing is a pipe. It's an opportunity, nothing more, nothing less, because you can do it really well, or you can do it not well at all.
Yep.
And I know people are inclined to say, oh, well, they just outsource it. Well, outsource what, And that's the challenge. I mean, I will do, for my clients, I will make sure their positioning is good, make sure they're packaging their products and services well. I'll ensure that their content is strong, but they've still got to be the ones that engage in the conversation. Yeah. And I think this is it. This is where we're going with it. I think LinkedIn may change. It may change its appearance again. It may change what's available. It may one day decide that groups are back in fashion. It may decide one day, there's far too much video, you're going to have to pay to use video. Whatever they decide, fundamentally, it's got to come back to this. I'm a human being, you're a human being, and how can I help you with your business? If I start thinking you're a human being and you exist to give me money, to make me rich,
yeah.
I think it boils right down to basic human, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, really.
Definitely. I think that's a really great point. I mean, that's a great point to finish off in regards to LinkedIn. I do have a question that I'm going to pose to people that come on the podcast. And that is, if you were starting a small business and had $10,000 to spend on only one thing, what would it be?
Market research.
Okay, knowing your target audience, absolutely. Delving deep about who you're actually trying to connect with.
Yeah, because you can spend a lot of money on a business that has no market. You can.
It happens.
And I mean, and let's be honest about myself. When I started my business was originally called Social for Sales. I thought in 2014 that merely setting up a business based on the fact that I'd had all this huge amount of success that people will undoubtedly want to replicate wasn't that simple. And it's working out now, but it's taken some time and it's a lot of hard work. But I think that if you can get for example, I mean, I quoted 59% of micro businesses outsource accountancy as one thing. There are some statistics that can help give you clues about what people are looking for.
There's a lot of data out there. There is.
And so, don't just, and this is the challenge for, am I just going to seek to, it's cool and hip to be an entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk is one excellent example of it. But fundamentally, is there a need for what you do? It's no good starting a business based around your talent if there's no demand for that in the market. Find out where a market exists and then fulfill the needs for that market. So that's where I probably wouldn't necessarily spend all of that money on that. If I could spend half of it on the market research. I spend the other half on sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Because without sales and marketing, it's just a hobby. Without customers, it's not a business.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing where the successful entrepreneurs or business owners succeed. They've seen the problem. They've seen that market that needs help in whatever area it is, and built the business around that. Not done it the reverse.
Exactly that. And I think probably, and you would probably agree with me, sometimes you need to actually start a business with the view that I'm going to make a huge amount of mistakes.
Lots.
I'm going to scuff my knees and bruise myself. But that's part of it.
That's where you grow,
Yeah. I'm different, I mean, I was, like I say, I'm 51 now. I mean, I've learned more in 4 years of business than I would have probably learned in all of my years prior.
I'm on a similar path. I mean, I'm 45, and the last few years have been much more properly focused on business than it was when I was in my 30s when I first started the business. So and I think you just learn. You keep learning. It's just learning. It's a learning game.
You do, and you've got to be ruthless enough to say if something's not working as well. You've got to say, okay, this is not working as it should, and then you have to adapt.
And not enough people actually get to that stage even. They just don't do it. So they don't even know if it's not going to work.
That's very true.
I think the doing aspect is something that a lot of people forget about. You actually have to do the stuff.
And we could do a whole podcast around fear.
Oh my God. We talked about fear actually. Conrad Francis, the last guy that came on. Fear plays a big part in improving yourself. Yeah. So understand your fear. Yeah. I think is a really important thing.
Absolutely, because let's face it. I mean, it's like anything. It's like doing a podcast. Not quite to the level of perhaps public speaking.
Yeah.
But because you're afraid doesn't mean that you are incapable.
Well, it's the fear of what other people think of you.
Yeah.
Stops people dead in their tracks and has done to me.
Yeah.
And no doubt to you as well in the past.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you do it, you just get that little bit stronger, and it's easier the next time. I
remember once doing a LinkedIn presentation to a particular institution, and I was slated for it.
Wow.
I think that...
Like on the spot? Or
no,
afterwards,
the feedback that I received. And I could have given up.
Jeez, that would have hit hard, yeah.
Because somebody that I respected had put me forward. I had probably misunderstood the brief. And with hindsight is a wonderful thing. I know that I would have been I'd have done far more market research around what they actually, the outcomes that they wanted.
Yeah. Understanding the audience.
Yeah. My interpretation of what they wanted and their interpretation of what they wanted were different. And so consequently, I delivered what I believed was right. But they perceived what I delivered not to be right.
Yeah, and that would have hurt, yeah?
It hurt. Yeah. I mean,
do you remember? How long did it affect you for? I mean, was it something that took you down, for weeks? Are we talking?
No, longer.
Wow,
longer. I mean, I remember, and everything from anger to tears and everything in between. But, even to the point that a year later, where a similar opportunity arose, and you just
went straight back there.
Exactly, you do. And that's the reality of life in so many ways, isn't it? Some experiences are more traumatic than others.
Yeah.
But does that mean I need to become a prisoner to that? That's my choice.
You need to face it.
Yeah, you do. So, yeah. I look back at that and I think, okay, I've learned from that. Was I entirely wrong? No, I wasn't entirely wrong. It was just it was a misunderstanding. Really, the content that I delivered was still to this day I believe was good. But there we are.
That's great.
Yeah,
I thought of another quick question
Go.
that I didn't email through to you before. You obviously come from the UK, and we are of similar age. You're a little bit older, of course. Much better looking, I must say.
Oh, wow. You know.
We're actually wearing nearly the same thing. I noticed you've got brown shoes and grey jeans, so do I. Both not got any hair, both slightly unshaven, so it's very strange. I feel like I'm staring at myself sometimes, Darrel.
Oh, my friend. You are good looking then.
Favourite TV show as a kid? Because I'm an 80s kid, and you are sort of probably... Well, I'm a late 70s, 80s kid, but, you know, what was your favourite show as a 10-year-old?
I probably was into Top of the Pops by then. But
Jimmy Savile days. Back then.
Yes,
God.
let's not go there. I would have enjoyed things like Swap Shop.
Is that Keith Chegwin?
He was on it, yeah.
Oh, what's his face?
Noel Edmonds, wasn't it? Noel Edmonds was the presenter initially. I enjoyed that kind of stuff. Oh dear, goodness me. 10. I remember being quite into music. I understood that music put me in touch with girls. So I understood that music, if I got into music and it would give me more opportunities with a lady for some reason.
I heard you before we started the podcast say that you used to play the bass guitar.
Yeah. I did bring it to Australia. I was in a band called the Plymouths until prior to, would have been about 2010. We were offered a record contract at one point, which we turned down on advice of our lawyers. But they were exciting times.
The Plymouths. Can we hear the Plymouths anywhere?
You'll find it on YouTube. If you type into the search engine "The Plymouths Party," for example, you'll get a live performance from 2006, if I recall. Professionally filmed and
really,
of us playing live. So
we'll definitely have to check that one out.
Yeah, do that. But yeah, I mean, TV in those days, it was fascinating. I remember referencing in a piece of content that when the whole subject of video and how if as a 10-year-old, if you said to me as a 40-year-old, you'd be able to broadcast images to the whole world through video. Well, first of all, the first thing you would have said was, what is video? Because video
didn't exist.
It might have done in the US, but it certainly wasn't as a 10-year-old. And
Betamax was probably just coming onto the market. Yeah,
and I remember sort of a more affluent relative having a Betamax.
Wow.
Thinking, well, okay.
Some fancy stuff going on here, yeah.
Exactly.
And look at us now.
Exactly. I mean, geeking out again about this equipment here. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
And that's a really good point. I mean, businesses really need to think of themselves as a media company.
Yeah.
As I said, $1,000 worth of equipment. You've got broadcast quality audio.
Yeah.
Just need the stories to tell. Need the people to speak to.
The problem is that most businesses, I think, the bigger they get, the less permission they think that they have to, or there's less, if somebody's employed, for example, this usually falls on the shoulders of the marketing department. In my experience with working with companies that have a marketing department, all of the social media is on their shoulders. All of the, this all comes lumped under marketing. And then, in fairness to the marketers, they are employed to market the business.
Yes.
So they will do what they've learnt to do at university or whatever, and they will, shove certain things down the pipe that we described.
Yep. In the hope that it's going to.
Yeah. But if you look at some of the more successful companies with, what was it, Titleist or one of the big golf brands in the US, the vice president of the company decided that an important use of his time was on Twitter,
Brilliant.
answering amateur golfers golfing questions and stuff. So he took it upon himself to, you know, be the face of the company. This is what I think I would be really encouraged to see. More people who, you know, are essentially kind of CEOs and the like, become the face of the company and, you know, get down and dirty with the common man.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
And they're the ones with the stories. They're the ones with the passion, the vision behind the business as well. So that's where great conversations start. Not with the poor junior marketing person that's been brought in to...
See, I think we're all, you know, even we're all worldly wise to a point. You know, we can all see past the red tie and the suit, you know. Thinking, okay, you know, who is the human person behind all these, you know, numbers? And their role may be simply to satisfy the stakeholders, but, you know, will they satisfy the stakeholders more if they became the face of the
Definitely, yeah.
Then they probably would, but few seem prepared to do it at this point in time, in my experience.
Yeah. So there's the challenge for any CEOs listening.
So what you have on a tool like LinkedIn, and will it change a lot in the next 12 months? There was a question. Well, maybe it will. What you've got currently is a sudden rush of millennials who love doing video, you know, and fair play to them. But fundamentally, this is the way I look at it myself now, is that you've got to stay in your lane. Don't deviate. Don't try and be them.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't try and be somebody else. Don't try and get, okay, when I get behind a camera, I need to become, you know, some kind of other person.
Just do you.
Just do you. You know, if video's your thing, do video. If podcasting's your thing, do podcasting. But do it well.
Yeah.
You know, understand your position. You know, the positioning. You know, the value that you provide to people. Stay in that lane. Create content around that, and network with people. It ain't really rocket science, but if you do it well, you know, I remember, possibly in closing now, but I remember being at a networking event, and we're talking probably 2013, so before I was in business. So I was in a successful role with the sign company, generating lots of leads through LinkedIn. And this particular guy came up to me who I knew his name and I knew his face, but I'd never met him in person. I knew him from LinkedIn, from our LinkedIn conversation. And he came up to me at this event and he said, hey, Darrel, guess what? I was with a friend of mine just a few days ago. She's starting a business, and we were just having a coffee and discussing, you know, some of these challenges. And she mentioned in passing that she needed to get in touch with a sign company. And he said to me, as soon as those words came out of her mouth, my face appeared in his mind. And I said, "You poor guy."
Yeah. Picked himself up off the floor.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I mopped his brow, and then he said, the reason is that you share valuable content, and you're top of, you know, I thought of you.
Mind.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where I think we need to get to. We need to understand, okay, what am I putting out? Is what I'm putting out to my network going to establish me as in this coveted top of mind position? Am I going to become the go-to guy for what I do, or am I going to get a reputation for making a lot of noise? And, you know, perception again. You know, you can create your own destiny with the right approach to this stuff. Love the subject, and it's a big subject, and
it's a really weird question, but where can people find you? I suspect LinkedIn, maybe.
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn quite easily. But obviously, my name is, the spelling is Darrel. And they might not find me if you put a Y in there or some other, or Darren.
There could be a Darren Griffin somewhere.
There probably is. I have a website, darrelgriffin.com.au, and probably that's enough.
That's enough. They'll be able to connect with you there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm not. What I chose to do probably 18 months ago was to become a sort of one platform guy.
Okay. Yeah.
So you won't find me on Facebook, though. That's a whole other subject. But I think if you can master one and be there, present and active, if you've only got time to be present and active on one, choose the one that, fish where the fish are.
Definitely.
And for me, I work, business to business has always been my thing. So LinkedIn is the weapon of choice. But yeah.
It's a powerful weapon as well. So if people get it right, people just take a few of these little tips and start implementing. The doing part, again, we're talking about.
Yeah. If people were to take nothing else away, then I would say understand what LinkedIn is fundamentally. It's a networking tool.
Human to human.
It is, yeah. You can have the best content in the world. Honestly, you can. I know some people that put some really good content out, but they think they're perhaps above the kind of engaging with other people's content. Yeah. This is where the rub is. Do I recognize that if Michael, you putting out content and I would like you to engage with my content, am I going to engage with your content? It's kind of a human thing. Reciprocity, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Well, that's it, guys. Go and start a conversation on LinkedIn today. Engage.
Do that and see where it takes you. Conversation leads to rapport. Rapport conceives trust, and trust creates opportunities.
I like it. Thank you very much, Darrel.
Bless you, my friend.